Hey everybody, welcome to another stream. This is part 2, the second stream of today. This is part 14 of my first playthrough of Torchlight Infinite during the Vorax season. This is not part 2, this is part 14. But this is the second stream of today. I just finished an 11.5-hour stream. I took a break for about 20 minutes to eat. And now I am back and I'm going to continue playing a little bit more.
Drink.
Okay, last stream we did a lot of progress. We went from 1 billion to 1.7 billion, I think. Let's see what our damage is at.
Please select the
Start of the
calibration
stream.
intensity for invincibility number 2.
$1.8 billion. We almost doubled our damage last stream. We're actually even tankier too. For some reason my streamer bot isn't picking up my Twitch chat.
Now let's have a real Valga challenge.
Oh well. You just won't be able to see YouTube chat that easy right now. Okay, so I'm not sure what our next upgrades are going to be. I can think of a few things we can do. We can start doing. How much currency do we have? 53. Okay, we want... your trait level. I don't know, on an ultimate? Okay. These are way out of our range. So we'll keep going with an epic one. We need strength or armor. Like 600, 900, 1,000.
Drink. Ah, now let's have a real Valga challenge.
Okay, let's do some farming. I don't know, time mark dash 1 or dash 2. Oh, the shield sold. Nice. All of a sudden we have 184.
When can I get an epic fight, Valka? I really can't wait any longer.
Why does the axe say 2187 physical DPS? It wasn't that much before. Hey Valiant, what's up, man? Back at it again? Yeah, man.
Strongest warrior in Valgong. Who dares to face me?
Yeah, man. I'm back at it for another few hours, maybe 4, 5, or 6 hours. I'll be streaming, I think. A few hours anyway. Made a lot of progress last stream, so I kind of want to play and see what else I can do. I feel like well, I wonder if putting in on the steep strike let's try another boss. Thanks, Valiant. Brown says good luck. Okay.
Your weak footsteps are almost inaudible amid the thunder. I'm echoing the thundercloud.
You want to beat me? You'll have to try.
This is going to be interesting.
You fear my shadow. You fear my shadow. You shall be imprisoned beneath the thunder. 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 I echo in the thunderclouds. I echo in the thunderclouds. You fear my shadow. I echo in the thunderclouds. You shall be imprisoned beneath the thunder. This isn't my first fall.
Oh. Nice. Oh. Thanks, Valiant. GG. Yeah, that was definitely pretty intense for me. I felt okay tanky wise for most of it. The lightning damage. That was kind of an issue a little bit.
Drink. I wonder if we should look for a different farming strategy. Beacons are probably done now. Seems like they've dropped in price pretty dramatically. So they're pretty cheap. Let's see. Mail. No, not right now. I am the strongest warrior in Valga.
Guess we'll look at this. John's. Interesting. Okay, we'll try this one. Let's see his. Many more compasses. Hold on. I'm going to turn off the camera for a bit. Oh, Allie has a build. Cube farming. Huh. Okay. What is this God chest strategy? Hmm. Hmm. Let's watch Allie's video.
Being a strategy that honestly I think you're gonna really enjoy. Today we're gonna go over God's Chest farming, which is simply going to be based around the new node added to the Profound Constellation this season, which will simply just spawn you a God's Chest after killing the map boss if you successfully complete at least 3 God mechanics. This chest is going to shower you with a decent amount of raw FP and a lot of compasses, so this is simply just going to be a compass farming strategy that's going to feel akin to boss rushing, as we are simply going to try and go through these maps as fast as possible. You can expect some around 850 FP an hour with this, with no specific pets, and if you have Doro 1, you can expect about 1000 FP an hour, and with Doro 6, you can push it all the way up to about 1500. This strategy is quite fun and quite exciting, so let's get into it and discuss everything you need to know. First off, to quick things. One, there'll be a quick loot link in the description below, so feel free to copy paste that in game and see everything for yourself there. And two, there is going to be a DPS and potentially a tankiness requirement for the strategy to work. We are going to have to fight the boss with Goddess of Hunt active, and that is going to make it very, very difficult. I'd recommend for you to have at least about 20 to 30 billion DPS to be able to do this in Time Arc 1, with you needing around 50 billion DPS for Time Arc 2 and around 100 billion DPS if you want to do this in Profound Time Arc 8. It's quite a difficult strategy, but you can do this in 8.1 and 8.2 based off of your personal build progression, and you'll still make quite a lot of money. Everything we're going to talk about in this strategy was based off of the prices in 8.1. At the same time, this strategy is going to specifically revolve around completing at least half of a God of Might. God of Might will destroy you if you're an energy shield build, even if you shove in all of the energy shield and kill, energy shield regen, and energy shield regain you can possibly muster. You can do it, you just have to play really carefully inside the God of Might, but there will be an alternative to do God of Machines instead, which will make you about 100 to 150 FE less than hour. But if you're an ES build and want to have just as easy of a time, that is your alternative. With that out of the way, let's discuss what our void chart is going to look like for this. First, we need to talk about the God chest in the Profound Constellation, as this is going to be the basis of our whole strategy. Every time you complete a trial of a god, you're going to get a Divine Right stack, and once you get 3 of them, a God chest will spawn when you kill the boss. In our case, we're going to be getting a Divine Right from doing the God of War trial, which you simply just get done for free for just going through their map. We're also going to get another free one for simply clicking the Goddess of Hunt at the end, right before we fight the boss. And then we're going to get our third one from either doing a God of Might or a God of Machines, based off of if you're an energy shield build or not, which we'll talk about later in the video. For the rest of the tree, we are going to go over to the God of War constellation and pick up 100% chance here. It's better to do this than to use a compass, as using the compass actually makes you lose money per hour, given how expensive it is and given how many maps we're doing in a short period. And the same thing is going to be true for the Goddess of Hunt mechanic, except here, we're going to pick up a bunch of its nodes, as these don't get affected by the God's Chest minus 100% quantity modifier, and they're just really solid, decent nodes that give you quite a bit of additional currency. The last few of our points are going to go into Compass Constellation, and here we're just going to pick up as much Compass chance as we can to juice the God's Chest even further. We actually don't want to pick a lot of the likely nodes, because the God's Chest specifically drops a lot of astrolobes, and we found that you drastically reduce the profit per hour if you do, and we only opted to pick up the Outlaw and Overwhelm ones, as these felt either neutral or slightly positive in terms of the total profitability. Lastly, I ended up picking up the Mystery Chest nodes in the Commodity Constellation, as again, we're doing a lot of maps, so these just give you a little bit of additional passive profit. You can pick up the Star Shard nodes instead, if you prefer Star Shards to fight more Plane Watchers, and if you are struggling to have enough points for this, you can always drop these Mystery Chests, and if that's not enough, you also come to Compass Constellation and drop all the Compass nodes at the bottom until the strategy fits your specific needs. As for loot pets in a strategy, we're going to specifically want to use Chalk Spirit, Dorodoro, and Benign Bug. Chalk Spirit is simply just here because we're killing a lot of monsters per hour, so he's going to give us a lot of FE. It's free currency, while Dorodoro and Benign Bug are going to massively amplify the amount of compasses that you're going to get throughout your map and from the God Chest itself. Dorodoro is actually a pretty massive increase to the strategy, and while everything we're going to talk about is going to be without Dorodoro at around 850 FE an hour, just having a level 1 copy of her will push you to about 1000 FE an hour, and if you have a level 6 copy of her, you'll be making somewhere around 1500, just because she gives you so many additional compasses. If you don't happen to have any of these pets, some decent alternatives would be to run Sprouting Grass Purple Sand, which is just the rare compass pet, or to potentially add in Cloud Gatherer Surging Gold or Cloud Gatherer Sky for additional embers or flame fuel, as you get quite a lot of that here as well. If you don't happen to have any of these loot pets, you should simply just use whatever loot pets you have that give you the most drop quantity, as that will affect the amount of loot from the God chest, even though it says it doesn't. There'll be a Reddit thread in the description below that will talk more about that and how it's currently bugged. For our mapping setup, we are going to want to specifically do Thunder Wastes. This strategy is going to specifically want to do as many fast maps per hour as possible, as that God chest at the end is like 80% of the total loot you're going to see, though Thunder Waste is it, as all the layouts here are very fast and easy to do. For our setup, when it comes to the maps themselves, you're going to want to use 75% drop quantity. Don't go to 100. That isn't worth it, and it actively loses you money rather than gaining you money. And then for compasses, you're going to use an Ecliptic Astrolabe for the additional compass drop quantity, and a Soldier Compass for additional monsters, as we have a node in the Compass Constellation that gives us more compasses based on how many compasses we're using. And if you have Chalk Spirits, this pays for itself and gives you a little bit of additional profit. For the third compass, you're going to want to use either a Might Compass if you are a non-energy shield build, or a God of Machine Compass if you are an energy shield build. If you're doing this in Profound Time Arcades and you somehow have the damage to handle the Goddess of Hunt boss at the end, you can also add in a purple Strength and Numbers Soldier Compass for the same exact purpose as the rare one. As for what we're going to be doing in the map itself, it's quite simple. You're going to see a God of War trial at the beginning of the map. Click on it so you move faster, and you're just simply going to clear through the map to try and find your God of Might or God of Machines mechanic. You're then going to go do it, and then you're going to move on to the boss as soon as it's done. Don't care to actually clear the rest of the map. You can ignore all of it if you want to. Click the Goddess of Hunt flower at the end, right before you fight the boss, kill the boss, and then your God's chest will spawn, and any additional chests that the Goddess of Hunt mechanic itself might add on top of that. What we need to talk about here is going to be the God of Might versus God of Machines. God of Might is simply just going to be better and offer you more profit per hour. If you want to know why, again, I highly recommend for you to read the Reddit thread linked in the description below. But the problem with God of Might is that it absolutely tears through energy shield builds and you're just going to die. There are things you could do to attempt to fix this, but in most cases, people are going to have a really bad time if you're an energy shield based build. The alternative to that is to instead run God of Machines, where you're running a God of Machines compass, and you're going to have to come to your void charts. You're going to have to sacrifice some points somewhere, and you're specifically going to pick this branch on the right, which with the final node is going to reduce the spawn time of the God of Machines down to 1 second. This will make you like 100 less FE an hour, but it will actually allow you to properly run the strategy. When it comes to the God of Might and God of Machines, you don't actually need to fully complete them. For the God of Might, you just need to do 7 floors. So just look at the tracker in the top left. And as soon as it says 7, just leave, ignore the mechanic. You don't care. You don't get any loot from it anyways. And the same goes for the God of Machines. As soon as wave 3 starts, just leave. You don't need to complete wave 3. It just needs to start wave 3. And that's it for the requirement. Finally, let's go over what the loot's gonna look like. For me, I did a whole day of this on stream where we tested a bunch of different setups, and the one that we're currently doing the video on seemed to be the best one out of everything we did. And with this setup, I managed to hold 850 FE an hour for a 57-minute period. Now, I know it says 804, but this sample size was recorded at the end of my stream, and the last 10 minutes, I just hard-inted and wasted a lot of time and ruined the 850 FE an hour average that I managed to hold for well over 40 minutes down to 804. That is user error and not reflective of the strategy itself. Keep in mind that these maps were done at an average of 1 minute and 21 seconds per map, so your profits per hour may vary based off of how fast or slow you can do them. Again, all this was also done in Timearc 8.1 with no Doro, so this is going to be pretty representative of what a lot of people are going to see. In terms of the loot itself, we got quite a lot of FE, and we got quite a lot of different compasses, along with a decent amount of embers and a bunch of other loot. Overall, selling all this off might be a tiny little bit annoying because you have a lot of different compasses to sell and your money is kind of split all over the place in comparison to something like the strategy we talked about yesterday, which was just FE and embers. But given this is more money per hour, and if you have Doro, it's significantly more money per hour, I think it's in a pretty good spot. That is pretty much all we have to discuss when it comes to doing the strategy. I've had a really good time with it. I'm probably actually going to end up doing more of this tomorrow because it was just fun to do. It's basically akin to boss rushing, where we're just effectively running at the boss as fast as we can. And it's a really good time, especially given that I can use my Doro here and make a lot of money with the compass farming strategy that isn't extreme high-end profound time arcade clockwork compass juicing. And I think that's really neat for a lot of people because it's pretty much a strategy and a farming style that is, for most people, off limits. If you have any questions on any of this, do feel free to leave a comment in the comments below, and I'd be more than happy to help you as soon as I can. I also stream on Twitch every single day, so feel free to come by Twitch and ask me any of your questions there, or feel free to
What's this one?
Hey everyone, it's Hallie, and today I want to talk about a new farming strategy that wasn't possible until this season of Torchlight. Today we'll be discussing God of Might Ember Farming, which is a strategy that's pretty much blown all my expectations out of the water. This is a strategy that's going to use no compasses and is extremely free-to-play friendly, as there's no pets that are required or mandatory for this to work, and you can expect somewhere around 500 FE an hour with no pets at all, and somewhere around 750 FE if you do have some loot pets. Given what this strategy is of just putting the beacon in, running the map as quickly as you can, and immediately going to the next map, I feel like the profits that this can give you are honestly kind of stupid. This easily beats boss rushing, so if you want an alternative to that, you'll have a pretty good time with it, and this should be as competitive, if not better, than most other strategies you can currently do in Timearc 8. So with that said, let's get into discussing everything and show you what all this is about. Before we do go any further, I do want to quickly mention 2 things. First off, there'll be a quick loot link in the description below, so feel free to use that if you want to see all this in game. And second, this is going to have a DPS requirement and a tankiness requirement attached to it, which if you don't have, you're going to have an absolutely awful time here. At a minimum, you need about 10 billion DPS to do this in Timearc 8.0 and some around maybe 20 to 40 billion DPS to make this comfortable in 8.1. I do not recommend to try the strategy in 8.2 unless you have over 100 billion DPS, and I do not recommend for you to attempt this in Profound unless you are sitting at a quarter of a trillion DPS, if not higher. God of Might has some ridiculous scaling on it, and you are going to need to have pretty ridiculous DPS numbers for the kind of content that we're doing. So as long as you have 10 billion, good to go in time mark 8.0, and you're going to make quite a lot of money. Everything we're going to discuss in this video is based off of the loot in 8.1 specifically. To go along with that, you're also going to have to be tanky enough. During the God of Might, there is a constant pulsating fire AoE that's going to be active the whole time, and you have to simply just tank it. For energy shield builds, this seems to be extremely difficult to do for some reason, but there are ways to get around it, and you are going to be able to have to figure out your sustain as an ES build to make that happen. But if you're a life or mana based builds, that shouldn't be an issue at all. I don't know what is wrong with it specifically for ES builds, but you have been warned. You can go try it and see how it goes for you. With that disclaimer out of the way, let's quickly go over what the void chart is going to be. This is going to be a little bit fluid. Basically, we are going to pick up all of the God of Might nodes that we care about, and then we're just going to dump the rest of them into the commodity tree to pick up as many drop quantity points as possible. If you have more points than what I show you here, just pick up more drop quantity points. If you have less, just drop some of them to fit your needs. For the God of Might nodes, they're going to be pretty simple. We're going to pick up 100% chance for God of Might, so we don't have to spend a compass on it, as those are quite expensive right now. We're going to pick up all of the Ember nodes at the top of the tree, as this is what our whole strategy is going to be based around. And here, we're specifically grabbing the bottom choice node for more Embers, but all of our ultimate Embers are going to turn to sand, versus the one that gives you a chance to get ultimate Embers, as this is hot garbage. Don't touch this, please. Do not touch this. This is complete hot garbage. It's a pretty bad node unless you're doing the extreme juice version strategy. To go along with that, we're going to path down to the bottom. This will give you more monsters to spawn, so you'll be able to progress through it faster and you'll get a little bit more loot. The right path is going to give you some quant, and then the left path will give you even more monsters, making the whole strategy juicy. The only other thing that's required outside of all the God of Might points is to make sure you also come to the commodity tree and pick up all the Ember nodes. And like I just mentioned a minute ago, pick up as many quant nodes as you can to go along with it. For our Profound Talent Constellation, I chose to pick up the 30% drop quantity and then the 5% drop quantity if we have 40 cards in our deck, as we don't care about anything else here. Any rare cards are quite bad, and there's really no other synergies for what we're doing. Now, when it comes to running the strategy itself, all we want to do is simply just use 4 sets of Nether Realm resonances on our beacon, so we get 75% drop quantity. It is not worth it to go to 100%. You're actively losing money from the additional resonances, and you can use less if needed, but obviously you'll make a little bit less profit. For the mapping itself, you're just going to straight up run through the map as fast as possible to find the God of Might mechanic. You're going to complete it, get showered with a billion Embers, and then you're going to find the map boss as soon as you can and just leave the map. You don't really care if you full clear the map or not. Ideally, if you're fast enough, you should. But if you're playing a little bit of a slower build, it's better to prioritize more Gods of Might per hour rather than full clearing the map every single time. The God of Might itself is going to simply be a mechanic that ramps up over time, where you're going to get waves of elite enemies that you have to fight that are going to become stronger and deadlier for each wave that you progress. You're going to have 15 total waves to go through, and the goal here is that you ideally want to have enough DPS to beat the timer and finish wave 15 before it's over to get the maximum total loot. There's nothing else to mention about it other than that you should stay within the God of Might circle, which might be a little bit hard to see given your whole screen is on fire, but you ideally want to stick to the middle of the area, otherwise you get penalized and the mechanic might end prematurely. Let's also very quickly go over the loot pets for strategy. Now ideally, you're going to want to use Captain Shadow, Cloud Gatherer Sky, and Chalk Spirit. Captain Shadow and the Cloud Gatherer are just the Ember pets. That's the main thing we're farming here, so we want to buff that as much as possible, while Chalk Spirit is just a really good pet if you don't need any specific third pet for whatever strategy you're doing. In our case, we're killing a lot of monsters very quickly and a lot of maps per hour, so he just synergizes really well with all of this. Obviously, I don't expect everyone to have these pets, so some decent alternatives to all this is to potentially replace Chalk Spirit with Cloud Gatherer Surging Gold for some additional flame fuel drop quantity, and you could replace Captain Shadow with Idling Weasel Cherry Blossom which is just the slightly worse Ember drop pet. If you don't happen to have any of these, just simply use whatever loot pets you have that give you the most drop quantity possible, as that will still increase the amount of embers you'll see in your maps. Finally, let's go over what your profits are going to look like in this strategy and where your loot's going to come from. For this, we're going to be using the Chinese loot tracker, which you can find in the description below. And I did about a full day of this on stream, but I only have an hour recorded as I happened to get the loot tracker after my stream and just decided to use it to see exactly what it looked like for a little bit better data. In this hour of farming, I managed to get 861 FE worth of total profit after my expenditures of beacons and residences and after tax. So this is all just pure profit. If you want to look at the breakdown for everything I farmed, I got 270 FE in Precious Embers, 250 Raw FE, 260 FE in Matchless Embers, and then a bunch of other miscellaneous stuff, some beacons and a few compasses and whatnot. Now, the only outlier here is that I got a collection doll astrolabe, so we're going to completely ignore this and say that the total profit in my hour was 750 FE. There are some other compasses in here, the Onslaught Might Compass and the Flourishing Might Compass, but these are super common from doing the God of Might strategy themselves, and over a full day of farming this, I think I farmed over 20 Onslaught ones, for example, so they are fine to add in our total loot. We can just say this is about 750 FE an hour, but that's with Chalk Spirit, Captain Shadow, and whatnot. I would say from doing a full day of this, that's pretty darn accurate. It's probably somewhere around 7 to 750 total FE an hour with the pets. And if you were to ask me for my best guess on what this would be if you had literally no pets at all, I would wager on about 500 FE an hour or so, with Chalk Spirit adding about 100 or so. It's actually quite difficult to tell how much Chalk does, and both Captain Shadow and the Ember Pets adding around another 150 or so. In my opinion, this looks really good, and comparing this to something like Boss Rushing or Cube, I want to say this is more FE an hour, which, given how simple the strategy is an absolute winner. Now, if you do have any questions about this, do feel free to leave a comment in the comments below, and I'd be more than happy to help you as soon as I can. I also stream on Twitch every single day, so feel free to drop by and ask your questions there to me directly, or you're more than free to come join our Discord at any point and hang out with other kitties and be a part of our community. With that said, kitties, if you do go and try the strategy for yourself, I hope you have a really fun time with it. I think we're going to make another farming video on this strategy with a significantly more juiced setup in...
Okay, well... let's see, Allie. This one. 750 FE an hour, Might Ember farming. I don't know what's better, to do the Ember farming or to do the God's Chest farm. I mean, the God of Might thing. I think that's probably better. Seems like that might be easier. No compasses either, huh? Hmm. You guys know what? I am tired. I am just exhausted. It's going to be a short stream right now, only an hour, but I think I'm going to end it and crash for a little bit. Then I'll be back again later on, and we'll do some more. So that'll be it for today, for now. So thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all had a good time. I had a good time. Till next time, my friends, take care of yourselves. Be well, be peaceful, and be happy. And I'll see you a little later on. Till then, my friends, peace out. See you later, Valiant.